JBN, we keep you informed. Man shot dead in Nannyville on Saturday, identified. A man who was shot and killed in Nannyville, St. Andrew last Saturday has been identified as 43-year-old Courtney Munroe, a resident of the community. According to the Jamaica Constabulary Forces Corporate Communications Unit, residents reported hearing explosions about 3:10 p.m. Munroe's body was later found on the road. No motive has been established for the killing. Slain Excelsior Vice Principal, hailed as a professional with a big heart. Excelsior High School Principal Dean Roy Broomfield says the school community remains in mourning almost 6 days after the murder of Vice Principal Colleen Walker. The 54-year-old veteran educator was fatally shot at her house in Queensbury, St. Andrew last Thursday. And yesterday, Broomfield, his voice breaking, said that he has lost a professional colleague and a personal friend. She was an integral part of the Excelsior community for 29 years. We came here as quite young teachers. I came a little bit earlier before her, 1988. She came in 1991, and we grew together as professionals at Excelsior High School, said Broomfield. She was a vice principal responsible for students, and she was a human being with a big heart. She was a professional who worked far beyond what was required. I don't know that I can say more than that at this time, added Broomfield. The police are yet to determine a motive for the killing of the educator, but preliminary probes have indicated that she may have been profiled and targeted. Investigators are seeking the assistance of the public to come forward with any information that could lead to the arrest and charge of the perpetrators of this crime. Minister of National Security Dr. Horace Strang has led the chorus of those condemning the killing, describing it as wicked, barbaric, and heartless. While offering condolence to the family, Chang said, acts like these demonstrate the length at which these criminals will go to perpetrate violence against our most vulnerable, particularly our women. He declared that no resources will be spared to bring the killers to justice as the government continues to equip the police with the necessary tools and capabilities to tackle some of these challenges faced by society. I am confident that these criminals will be brought to justice, said Chang. Rooftop parties annoy Kingston residents. Some residents of Denham Town in Western Kingston have taken parties to the roofs of houses and atop high-rise buildings, despite restriction on gatherings exceeding 10 people. Delia Garrick, Deputy Superintendent of Police, said that such activities are not permitted under the COVID-19 mitigation. It would be a breach of the Disaster Risk Management Act. From the brief I received from Kingston West, persons have been seen on the roofs. In fact, the police have visited with them, she said, noting that the residents were implored to maintain social distancing and observe the guidelines of the Disaster Risk Management Act. Garrick says there is also a concern of the general safety for persons gathered on the roofs. In engaging the community members, the police were told that persons would use the roof areas as somewhere they can sit and have a little relaxed time, she said. Though the police have indicated that upon their visit, there was no indication of parties being held. One resident said that the rooftop parties, complete with music, are a major disturbance in what is already a hard time. It is a bother. It is already a rough time for all of we, especially the ones who now work. We stress and the place hot. And if you have them egglers here a stamp up and down the roof is like a torture. You cannot take a stand and talk up, because them are going to say you are infirm or you act like you're better than people, one resident said. She said that the residents involved in these activities are putting the community at a greater risk. I just want to know why them can't listen. Them are put all away at risk because them selfish and have no understanding. Not to mention we elders. Some of them come inside and outside. Some come a keep party, then go back into them granny, grandfather and so forth, she said. Meanwhile, another resident said his neighbors know better. Them out on the road. And when police are come, they run up and down and hide. So them know what is right. Them just choose to act illiterate, he said. We just want all of Jamaica to know say, I know all of we don't Denham Town a keep dance pan building top. Some are we in our house and a keep yourself quiet. Everywhere you go have an unruly set. But on all of we, According to the Corporate Communications Unit, right now no parties have been approved, and we have had no reports of such. If such parties were reported, we would have dealt with the issue. Lockdown. Restrictions hit St. Catherine as fifth person dies. In the wake of a fifth COVID-19 death and a dramatic 48% spike in cases in Jamaica, Prime Minister Andrew Holness has announced a one-week lockdown for the parish of St. Catherine, beginning at 5 a.m. today until a similar time on April 22nd. A fifth patient, a 63-year-old woman from Portland, died yesterday. Of the 52 new cases, 49 are from the Alorica call center in Portmore. This new development has sent jitters throughout St. Catherine, which has a number of key corridors interlinking the capital Kingston with central and western Jamaica. According to 2018 data from the Statistical Institute of Jamaica, St. Catherine has 249,000 residents, or 20% of the national population of 2.7 million. The bustling commercial and dormitory community of Portmore alone has around 200,000 residents. Speaking from Jamaica House yesterday, during a digital press conference, the Prime Minister said that he had asked the Commissioner of Police and the Ministry of Health and Wellness to investigate the circumstances under which 33 persons at Alorica contracted the disease, with a view to pursuing charges if the Disaster Risk Management Act was breached. He said that many players from the business process outsourcing BPO sector have observed the various protocols, with 10,000 of the approximately 40,000 workforce asked to work from home. However, Holness argued that it is clear that there are some operators who were not following the protocols, who were not faithful in observing the protocols. We cannot take this thing lightly, and consequences must fall where we can establish culpability, he warned. Alorica has a staff complement of 787. The ministry has interviewed and tested 258 employees. Alorica has since closed its Portmore and Kingston offices following the revelation of positive cases. The St. Catherine lockdown, according to Holness, is being imposed to slow the spread of the virus, which has infected nearly 2 million people and killed 125,000. Holness argued that with positive tests from the call center, you can use your own imagination to figure out how many persons have been contacted, the areas that people would have traveled to, and the potential spread that can come from that. Technically, you could be looking at as many as 1,000 persons contacted in close proximity, he explained. The Prime Minister said that a GIS mapping of the address of the affected employees from the call center showed locations in St. Catherine, Kingston, and St. Andrew. He hinted at broader and tougher measures. I am putting Jamaica on notice that we have entered into a new phase, the Prime Minister said. Giving details of the ground rules, Holness said that persons who have flu-like or respiratory symptoms must stay home. The Prime Minister made it clear that the only exception to the lockdown was for persons to get medication, make emergency visits to the doctor, or to get essentials such as food. Breaches of the order will attract penalties. Holness urged Jamaicans to travel with a passport, driver's license, or national ID. Would also consider IDs issued by various ministries, departments, and agencies, he said, in addition to ID issued by a registered tertiary institution or school. Persons 65 years and older will be allowed to get the essentials of life between 8 a.m. and 10 a.m. only on Wednesdays and Saturdays. Medical emergencies are not subject to this order. Further, residents in St. Catherine whose surnames begin with the letter A to M will be allowed to get their food stock or medication between 10 a.m. and 1:30 p.m. on Wednesdays and Saturdays. Only one person from each household is allowed to visit the shop or supermarket, and the persons with surnames starting with the letter N to Z will be allowed to carry out a similar exercise from 1:30 to 5 p.m. on Wednesdays and Saturdays. Suppliers of goods to supermarkets and shops will be exempted on days to be specified by the government. JBN, we keep you informed. Please remember, subscribe, like, share, leave us a comment, and click the notification bell to receive our daily news items.